Hey guys, Infidel1258 here. Tonight I'm going to share with you a clip from a recent live event. This was a members only Thursday night live event. I do these every week, and these are for my members who support my YouTube channel. If you want to be a part of these conversations and raise your own questions to get your own answers, consider supporting my YouTube channel. Join the community tab and pick your favorite tier, and you will be invited to these weekly Thursday night lives. In this video, we're going to talk about monster flipping. I'm going to give you all the latest thoughts and rundown and tips and tricks around how you can monster flip in this game to earn profit and grow the revenues that you're receiving from your time and attention within Splinterlands. This is going to be for anybody who's trying to really stretch their investing dollar within this game, buying low, selling high, and then reinvesting that to grow what you're doing here. If that sounds interesting, stick around, stay tuned, like and subscribe. Thanks guys. Have an amazing day. God bless. Another question I have is about monster flipping. A few months ago, you made a video about monster flipping, and I was wondering if you think it's still a viable, profitable process. I absolutely do. Let's spend a few minutes talking about that. I love that you brought your question, Alec. Like, thank you right out the gate. Lets us get into it. For sure. I do think it is absolutely a profitable opportunity, but there's a big caveat with that. So everything I feel about Splinterlands is that this is not a get-rich-quick scheme. This is a slow and steady, and every dollar or every 10 cents or every, in some cases, 10 or 20 or 50 or $100 you can flip is going to be really meaningful because it's gonna begin to snowball what you're doing. I really believe that, and not only do I believe it, I've done that. When I had, just a small amount of investment. Well, I mean, most people would think $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 was a lot of money. And it's not nothing, but I've got maybe 150,000 American now in terms of assets for the game. And maybe it's 125. I don't know off the top of my head, to be honest, but it's moved from 5 to a lot more. And in part, that's because of the appreciation of the assets, but absolutely in part, that's because I was flipping along the way from this thing to that. And sometimes I would get a gold foil and I would sell it. And then you can reinvest that value. So there's ways to do this, but it's never one action that you do one time that makes everything so gigantic. It's this active process of investigating what opportunities are in front of you, and then making little moves to just begin to move that needle and begin that snowball actually just rolling down the hill. Yes, it works. Yes, you can do it. It is a bit tricky in a market like this where the prices are fluctuating so much. Like the other day, my cards were worth 83 million or 83,000, and now they're roughly 73,000. That's a big dip in like probably 2 weeks or even a week maybe. And as a result, it's hard to flip in a moment like this. I would encourage you to begin exploring the marketplace, assessing values of cards that you think are the way to start is to look for cards that you would want if you like, that you would want to have for your own deck. Then when you find good deals on those, you buy them. And two things are happening. One, you might use it and play with it and win with it and gain more daily and season rewards from it. Two, you might sell it. And so you are going to be happy either way. That's one of the key things for me when I'm flipping, where I will look specifically for those types of cards, because what happens if I just can't sell it? What happens if I have to hold it for 2-3 months and it's just not liquidating? Am I going to be okay with that because of the utility? If the answer is yes, then you're not going to be upset. That's one of the key things you want to look for in there. And the other is that usually it's nice to flip monsters with low BCX. Like it can be very expensive to flip a max level card, and there is a greater buying pressure on low BCX cards, like legendaries, for instance. 11 Oceanuses makes a max copy. That's going to cost you what, $40 US approximately. That's going to appeal to a certain demographic that play this game at a high level and who have $40 to burn. 1 BCX is far more sellable. And so there are times where you're going to find 1 BCX at a really great price. And one of the ways you're going to know is because there are lots of copies for sale that have high BCX. So picture this one said 11, 11, 11, 11, 11. That would mean there's lots of max copies, and that's kind of a floor for the price of this card. And then you had one little 1 BCX over here. That is actually really, really interesting. That's one of the telltale signs that that is a flippable card, because it means that somebody priced their 1 BCX card lower than the what we call the per BCX price. And I don't want to explain all of that. If you don't understand some of that terminology, you can kind of maybe poke around a bit more in some other videos I've talked about. But it definitely, a visual indicator is if you see lots of cards that have a high BCX, and then you see one up here that has really low, and often older cards can be a way to explore that. You'll find them, no, not really that, not really that. And I just have a quick peek at it. I'm looking at the numbers. I'm like, okay, look at this one. There's 14. That's maybe 89 cents. Notice how it's not a lot cheaper. It's only a little bit cheaper than 89.5, 89.5, 89. So it's not a good enough deal. I'm not interested. And I keep looking. I don't spend a lot of time. I don't really care what card it is. I'm just looking at whether or not it kind of fits into that niche. And right now, just quickly, I'm not seeing any obvious purchases. But those are a few tips that I give you on that. And definitely there are opportunities for it, but it's going to be better during a proper bear market when things are a bit cooler and calmer and slower. So keep it in mind, and probably you're going to have some real opportunities. Just maybe be careful right now with the fluctuations. Jim, do you ever do flipping?
Yeah, I actually used to do it a little bit more, but not too much. I do prefer to hold on to stuff for a little bit. Stuff that I am speculating will increase in price, especially when new cards are announced. So that's when I'll really start to sell stuff. But yeah, when it comes to monster flipping, not a whole lot. But we also have had someone in our guild who's done really well with it. So
yeah, there are opportunities for sure. And even in this kind of market, there definitely are moments where something happens where, like, if you had $270, this could be maybe something you look at. See, that's not cheap though. And what if it didn't sell? Would that be a real problem for you? But look at what we're seeing here. 105 BCX makes it relatively small. It's going to appeal to not everyone for sure, but a broader range of players than, for instance, this one that has 505 copies and is roughly the same price per BCX. So this one is going to cost you $270. This one's going to cost you $13.50. And this is a level 7. A level 7 is actually probably the most important level for this card, because it gives you still the 3 melee. It's got 10 hit points, and that's where the void kicks in. So that's where this card becomes very tanky. Mind you, that's like a diamond or a gold level play if... Oh no, it's not. It's not a rare. I thought it was a rare. Hang on a second. So common, I'm not sure where that lands. I think is that diamond level 7?
This is gold.
Okay. So that's maybe interesting because, again, the lower BCX, it would appeal to a broader range. Not everybody, but a broader range of play. It has a very critical ability touch point. And then one more point on that, you would want to imagine the price differential between your purchase price and who your competitors would be. So if I was to buy this right now for $257 per BCX, I might relist it in this range, $3.50 per unit, because that would be the next cheap. Like, I'm not going to try and compete with this guy because he's a totally different. He's appealing to an entirely different audience. The players out there who have a lot of money and who are looking for perfect top of the line cards. That's not me. I buy this and I'm going to try and relist it for the guy who's playing in gold, who's playing in maybe even silver and has a view to one day playing gold. and I could relist it for $3.25 per BCX, and I'm going to be competing with this guy. But mind you, this is a bot. So here's the problem: is the bot going to mess with you? I haven't done this enough recently. During AO4 is a bot, and
like it will.
It won't.
It looks like it will, because you can take a look at his price difference versus the one right under him.
Yeah.
And the USD is just that 0.001 less.
How come he's not competing with this guy though? Is he too much cheaper?
I believe they can set it up to where they don't go below a specific point now.
Yeah. So maybe if you really understood, if you wanted to get into this deep dive on it, you'd want to properly understand how the bots were working these days. And that people on, I think if you get into the Discord for Splinterlands, you're going to be able to probe people who are going to better understand really how the bots are working. Hawks21, is it Hawks21? I think so. He's done videos on that, and I've seen other great videos about how you can take advantage of these guys. And maybe maybe there's a profit there to be had. You'd have to calculate that, and you'd have to remember that Peak Monsters takes 5% on the sale, and weigh all of those factors. But there's certainly I used to find that every day there'd be one card I could buy, and then I'd list it, and it starts to grow this portfolio, and suddenly you start being surprised by how many sales you're landing each day and each week. And every dollar is pushing you closer and closer to that deck that you've always wanted, to maybe the next level of play, and therefore bigger rewards.
It also looks like he's that 1/10 of a penny less, based upon level as well. So it could just not be paying attention to the level 7.
That might be right. So
except if you have the 6, or if you're playing in gold, why even get the 6, right?
Yeah. If this could be sold for even $3, think of it. You'd be getting, well, let's see. If you could sell it for, it's 105 copies. And if you could sell it for, I'm going to say $3.20 each BCX, you're going to get 336. And then you have to take away, you have to go to
0.95.
Yeah, 0.95. So then it's $319.20 is what you got, and then you have to take away your purchase cost. So it's $319.20 it would be the sale for, if you sold it for $3.20 per BCX, you're going to get $319.20. Then you have to take away the initial purchase price of $270.10. So it's a $49 profit at that bright. If that's sold, that's awesome. That's $50 in your pocket that you did nothing for.
In like whatever time frame. Yeah.
And it can be as quick as a day. Like I've seen these happen where you buy them, especially when I was flipping a lot. You buy it and you list it immediately, and then it sells a day later, or it might be a month later. And so again, what if it didn't sell? Would you be happy to play with that card? Would it be a card that's got to be the background that feeds into whether you're even doing it. Because if this one doesn't work, like if you don't like the Flesh Golem, if you don't need the Flesh Golem, then I'd say just wait, because there's so many cards in this market. And if you checked, what did I look for? I probably looked for 2 minutes and I found that one card. There's got to be other cards in here that are going to be interesting opportunities like that also. And so just poke around. And one last tip, if you're doing this, focus on cards that are going to be in high demand, things like summoners and tanks. Those are the two cards that everybody needs to have usually. And so they often are the ones that draw the most attention, and therefore if you can get a good deal on one of them, it can be that moment where it's easy to flip. Whereas if you're buying like a Screaming Banshee, which is a great card, but it's quite niche in how you might use it. It's definitely not going to appeal to the same breadth of player. That was like a whole deep dive on flipping, but it's worth it, guys. I haven't talked about that in a few months, and there's a game-changing, life-changing opportunity if you do that well. But it really is, it's a slow process, and it's $5 here and it's $10 there, and it's reinvesting and being patient, but over 3-4 years doing that on the, just for, as a side thing for half an hour a day. I think you'd be surprised how much that would do for you. We kind of talked about he also asked about how do you monster flip given the depreciation of overall cards. You just need to be cautious, and you need, like I said, you need to make sure you're getting the right card, the one that you're willing to hold on to if it didn't sell. I always ask that. I was like, if it doesn't sell, am I going to be okay holding this for a year, for 2 years? If the answer is no way, don't do that. Don't buy that card. So yeah, think that through. And this is something I forgot to mention earlier, and I've talked about lots of times on the topic of flipping. When you're considering that, when you're exploring the market and trying to find ways to take advantage, always explore the compare window, and the best CP to cost ratio is one important thing. Not necessarily for flipping, but these are ridiculous, by the way. 250 CP to $1. Things are getting wild. These are really cheap CP now. It used to be 100. It used to be 30. So this is really, really an affordable time to build a deck. But gold versus regular percent difference, or alpha versus beta difference, are two interesting ways that you might find a nice flip. Gold versus regular is going to show you the price differential between a regular card, Neb Seni, and its gold foil version. So as you see by the differential, we're talking 4.95 times more expensive for the gold foil than the regular foil equivalent. Now, I don't like this card. I'm not saying you should buy it, but this is actually a really low differential, which means that gold foil card is either really inexpensive for what it is, or the regular foil is really expensive for what it is, because that differential is usually much higher. 6, 7, 8, 10. As you can see, it escalates really quickly. So this is that gold foil card is substantially cheaper. If you wanted a Neb Seni, and if you had a lot of money, and because it's not cheap, that's something it pays to look at. And then I look at the alpha versus beta regularly, because somebody they'll love a card. The Divine Healer is a great card, but the alpha, it shouldn't be so, it's practically the same price. Let's quickly look. It's 1.5. Let me see. So the alpha per BCX is $1.98, and the beta per BCX is $1.82. So the alpha is only 9 cents more expensive per BCX. But here's the strange thing. Alpha has fewer BCX per card. And so this price differential is probably actually telling me that the alpha card is the same price as the beta card when you really analyze how many BCX are permitted. So let's quickly, just to conclude this conversation, this is super important to understand, guys. Go grid. So Divine Healer grid beta, you need 505 copies for max. And as you can see, the cheapest one there is on 140. So it's a level 7. It's a level 7, and it's overdeveloped. You see, it only needs 105 copies to make level 7. It's got 148 copies, which is partly why he's selling it for that price, because that's actually a bad quality. You really don't want to, you never want to upgrade your cards at a higher level than, like if you need level 7, give it 105, not one more. So anyways, he's selling 148 for $1.89 per, and that's a level 7. But then look, the beta, or the alpha rather, level 7 only takes 79 BCX. And so that's a gigantic difference in terms of how many copies you need. And so when the price ends up being relatively the same on alpha, that's really, pay attention to that and explore whether there's a flip opportunity. I would argue this is too big to be a flip. 239 means you're at level 9. You're gonna appeal to a very select audience, and therefore I don't like this as a flip. But I do love this if you like the Divine Healer, and if you don't have a high level copy, and if you already have a diamond level deck, this is an amazing card for a really reasonable price. And I would say this is something you'd want to buy, but I don't think for a flip perspective. And it's already 9:33. Jim, do you have any other comment? Like, I can. Is there anything else that comes to mind that you wanted to talk about? I feel like this flew by.
Yeah, it definitely goes by very fast.
Yeah.
There is a big announcement.
Oh, tell me.
The big announcement that Hobbies and Happiness will be joining a specific guild out there.
Tell me. Which one?
It goes by the name of Time and Attention.
Nice. I've heard of those guys. That's
After
awesome.
a long, drawn out voting and discussion of like 3 days or 4 days, we finally got there.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
It's only fun. That's awesome, man. Yeah, no, that's super great. Jim and I were talking about it, and they are Hobbies and Happiness is gonna come under the TNA banner, and so we will get. We'll move on to. We'll get the next. We got TNA. I think we got 1, 2, 3, and 4, and so it'll be TNA 5, and under.
We're gonna be TNA 69.
TNA 69. Under Jim the Captain Morgan. Captain Morgan. That's a. Is that an American? Is that in America, Captain Morgan?
Yeah.
It's a very famous. A lot of Canadians like that stuff.
Yeah.
Captain Morgan. That's your new nickname, buddy. Guys, have an amazing night. Thank you so much for your time and attention. Love you guys. God bless.
Take care.